Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Belfry football coach Philip Haywood is in the hospital after suffering severe injuries from a car crash. And a ceasefire holds in the Middle East after 3 Israeli hostages return home.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. My name is Amelia Lee on this Monday, January 20th, and the time is 6 o'clock. It's also time to check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmel for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, it's been a cold start to the morning, a bit of ice, I know, on my drive in, especially going up the hill that leads from my apartment.
Yeah, and there's also a couple spots where that light dusting covered up some of the colors of the dividers, so like the yellow and the white, making it pretty difficult to stay in a line. So if you are driving, just make sure you're being safe and cautious, driving slow. These are things you need to do in order to prepare yourself. But another thing you need to be prepared for is those cold temperatures. We are looking quite colder than this time yesterday. I mean, 27 degrees colder right now compared to yesterday in London, 26 in Harlan, 27 in Somerset, and 28 as you're traveling towards Irvine. And those actual temperatures right now are definitely looking to be quite cold. We are at 1 degree as we head to Moorhead and Irvine, 6 degrees in Ashland, 5 in Jackson, London, and Somerset. And as we head to the afternoon, you can expect those temperatures in the upper teens and low 20s with colder temperatures with that wind chill from those fast wind speeds. Amelia.
Megan, thank you. Longtime Belfry head football coach Philip Haywood is in serious condition after a car crash Saturday morning. Belfry Fire Chief and Pike County Emergency Management Director Nee Jackson says Haywood hit black ice while driving and slid into a creek near Forest Hills. The emergency director also says Haywood was flown to UK Hospital in critical but stable condition. Haywood is the winningest high school football coach in Kentucky history and has coached the Pirates since 1984. One man from Alabama was arrested in Harlan County this past weekend. On Sunday, around 1 in the morning, Kentucky State Police answered a call involving an accidental shooting with an 8-year-old child in the Bledsoe community. Officials say after arriving, the child was taken to Harlan ARH and eventually flown to UK Hospital. Andrew Sundberg, a 34-year-old from Irvington, Alabama, was arrested and charged with wanton endangerment in the first degree. There is no word on the child's condition. There was a separate shooting in Harlan County this weekend. This time, a woman is dead and her husband hospitalized. It happened Sunday morning around 11 when Johnny Simpson called in reporting his wife shot him multiple times in the face and the body. After officials arrived, they found Johnny with multiple wounds. Samantha was found with reported injuries to the head. They were both transported to Harlan ARH. Harlan County Coroner Derek No pronounced Samantha Simpson dead at the hospital. Johnny was taken to UK Hospital. KSP is handling both investigations. At least one person is dead after a crash in Floyd County Friday afternoon. State police say 2 others were taken to Pikeville Medical Center. The crash involved 3 vehicles on Route 680 at the end of the mini bridge and intersection of Route 1101. The roadway has since reopened. No names or any other information has yet been released. A fragile ceasefire remains in place this morning in the war between Israel and the terrorist organization Hamas. 3 Israeli hostages were released to their families on Sunday, while dozens of Palestinians were released from Israeli prisons. As CBS News correspondent Naomi Ruckham explains, this is phase 1 of a deal that's giving many in the region hope after so much bloodshed and destruction.
After 471 days in terrorist captivity in Gaza, 3 Israeli women are home with their families this morning, welcomed into Israel by cheers and celebration. The handover to the Red Cross was chaotic. The women led by Hamas militants and surrounded by a large Palestinian crowd. But 1 year after the brutal attack on Israel, 24-year-old Romy Gonen, 28-year-old British-Israeli citizen Emily Damari, and 31-year-old Romanian-Israeli Daron Steinbrecher are safe.
Once this door opens, it must not close. We must let all 97 hostages, now 94, come back home to their families.
Hours after their homecoming, Israel released 90 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. The agreement, coming to fruition on the last day of the Biden presidency, garnered claims of victory from both the outgoing and incoming administrations.
And after so much pain, destruction, loss of life, today the guns in Gaza have gone silent.
If Hamas reneges on this deal, if Hamas backs out, moves the goalpost, what have you, we will support Israel in doing what it has to do, number one. And number two, Hamas will never govern Gaza.
Drone footage shows Palestinians walking through the destruction after the deal took effect, with thousands of the displaced hoping they still have homes to return to. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Another group of Israeli hostages is set to be released this coming weekend when 4 more will return to Israel. Aid also started arriving in the Gaza Strip with at least 200 trucks waiting in line to enter through Egypt, carrying warm clothing and medicine. Well, today's Americans will also honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., not just with celebrations, but through service. While many know MLK Day as a federal holiday, fewer realize it's also recognized as one of the country's 2 national days of service, the other being 9/11. Dr. Carolyn DuPont, a professor of American history at Eastern Kentucky University, explains that this designation came later in the holiday's history.
And it was in 1994 that Congressman John Lewis introduced the National Day of Service aspect. Honestly, very few communities observe it as such. It's more common to have community celebrations in churches, maybe to reenact a march, to listen to sermons and celebrations of King.
With the inauguration of a new president coinciding with the holiday, DuPont urges people to focus on the deeper significance of the day, emphasizing the need to invest in our communities and reflect on the ongoing struggle for justice and equality. The Louisville community also gathered Sunday night to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision at the 2025 Keepers of the Dream event. The theme of this year's program was Women of the Movement. The purpose was to recognize and honor the contributions of women in the civil rights movement, particularly when it comes to the legacy of Dr. King. Artists from all over came together to celebrate his remembrance. The event also featured the presentation of Louisville Mayor Greenberg's Freedom Award, which went to Joanne James and Dr. Corey Shaw.
Dr. King's legacy teaches us that service to others is not just an obligation, but a privilege to be able to give.
Keepers of the Dream was presented by the Kentucky Performing Arts, Art Search, and River City Drum Corps. Firefighters in Louisville are fighting a battle over whether they can use medical cannabis when off the clock. The lawsuit comes from an email sent by Chief Brian O'Neill on January 2nd. In it, he stated the department will continue to prohibit the use, possession, consumption, or sale of marijuana by employees, including medical cannabis. A local union is asking a Jefferson County judge to put a halt to that policy. They say it supports the long-standing stigmas around medical cannabis.
We're talking about medical cannabis. Those products are formulated in a way to deal with whatever your ailment may be. You know, if you have a sleep disorder, there's a certain type of product that you can buy. We're not talking about rolling joints and smoking them in the back lot.
And you might remember medical cannabis becoming legal in Kentucky on January 1st. The Louisville Fire Department and Jefferson County Attorney's Office say they cannot discuss pending litigation, and they'll respond via the courts.
We're still watching those lingering snow chances this morning, and it'll continue to taper off as we're heading through the next couple hours. You can see that on satellite and radar, and it's moving, it's making its way out, and once it's gone, we're going to look significantly clearer from the snow for the most part until we're heading into Friday. So there's some good news for you as you're going through this cold next couple of days. Now, we're starting off those cold temperatures this morning looking at single digits for most of the area. We do see some 10 degrees as we're heading towards Jonesville, Harlan, Middlesboro, and Jacksboro, and Grundy, 13 degrees. So pretty cold still. And as we're going into those wind speeds, I mean, take a look. We have some quite elevated wind speeds as you're heading up to London at 10 mile per hour. Same with Pikeville, and those feels like temperatures. Well, you can really tell the difference. We're looking at -10 degree feels like in London and -8 degree feels like in Pikeville. So it is chilly. You're going to need that coat. You're going to need anything you can use to keep yourself warm. Hey, and maybe a hot chocolate isn't too bad of an idea either. Here's what you can expect as you're heading into the afternoon, though. Those forecast highs are in the upper teens and low 20s, seeing the mid-teens as you're traveling towards Wise and Clintwood. And, well, for the next couple hours, those temperatures will be warming up a little bit. We're going to get to those high temperatures around 4 o'clock today. Amelia.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. We've got more news on the way. As Los Angeles deals with wildfires, some Californians wait on canines to come to the rescue through the rubble.